Hi, another week. Good to see you all. I want to talk a little bit today about optimism. And let me start by saying yesterday, my blood pressure was something like 178 on 101. So pretty high. And today, it is 100 on 67. I didn't do anything different. Why the difference? Let me tell you about a video I watched yesterday. It was on the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. Her name was Jacinda Ardern. And interestingly, lots of people now outside of New Zealand absolutely love her. She's still well thought of inside New Zealand, but there's still a lot of hurt feelings over COVID. I have a personal story with COVID. I lived in both New Zealand and in Canada through the lockdown. And I left New Zealand, Peter and I, to come back to Canada. My dad was gravely ill. We had some crazy idea that we could help out the family. And so we arrived and I think we were still just out of quarantine and he passed away. So I never did get to see him. Peter was offered a job to go back to New Zealand. And he took that job and went back to New Zealand, leaving me to tidy up the house and sort of get everything organized. It was at that point, the pandemic had been going on for over a year, and I'd only been back in Canada a very short time. He left. He had the type of job that granted him MIQ straight away. He didn't have to go into the lottery system. I did. So he went back to New Zealand. He bought a house. He got settled. He did his job. And I should have followed within weeks. Unfortunately, I couldn't get an MIQ spot. It was like the same software that you use to try and get concert tickets or sports tickets. And you had to log in. You were assigned a number and you had to wait. And I don't know, there were maybe 150 to 200 spaces every 7 to 10 days that were available in MIQ. MIQ in New Zealand, which was the mandatory quarantine, was generally in a hotel that they had set off. And there were, you were picked up at the airport, you were transported to the hotel, you paid your money, you stayed there for 2 weeks. I tried for 8 months to get a spot in MIQ. And after 8 months, it was getting a bit scary because I was coming down to nowhere to live. I had no job. Luckily, Peter was working. He was waiting for me to get there. I was pretty unhappy with the decision of the day that Jacinda had made. And the reason I was angry is that, in my passport, which is a New Zealand passport, it says I'm a citizen and it should allow me back into my country. Watching back to the movie, watching Jacinda Ardern, I was there for all of that and watching it on the news and living what was happening. What I didn't see and what the movie gave us insight into was the behind the scenes. What she was agonizing with. It was, if you're a Star Trek fan, it was and I can't say the word properly, but it's the one where it's an impossible decision. She says a line in that film, and it's a documentary, which is, I would rather have answered for having done too much than answered for not doing enough. Wow. Let that sit with you. It sat with me, and it's quite a bit of time afterwards, and, my life's gone on, and I'm actually back in Canada again. When I saw that raw footage of Jacinda, how much she agonized over the decisions it had to make. I mean, the whole country used to watch every day. Our Minister of Health, Ashley Bloomfield, everybody loved Ashley, and he would get on every day. Now, New Zealand, through the pandemic, wasn't the kind of country generally, and I understand if you're in Auckland, you would disagree, but you could go to concerts. People were still getting along because nobody was in the country who really had COVID. There was no real big issue. So it was a different way of handling it. Personally, I was harmed. I lost over 8 months with my husband, and everybody knows now what my situation is, and I'm starting over. That's 8 months I would love to get back. I'm not bitter. I understand about what those decisions were and why they were made. A little time and a little reflection, and I still support what she did, even though personally I didn't enjoy it at the time. I think that's what optimism is about. It's not pretending that things didn't hurt or choosing to ignore them. It's having the courage to look at things in a different way that are different from your perspective. I think that what I do enjoy, even I don't have to agree with everyone. I just had a friend stay with me for a week and we don't agree on everything. Some of our politics are very different. Some of the way that our experiences in life are different. So of course we're going to have different outlook. But you know what? That's fun. That's interesting. That's what makes people tick. And listening to other perspectives and taking on board what they have to say. In some instances, you're going to change your mind. You're going to think, oh, I didn't think of it that way. That's really interesting. In others, you're going to say exactly the same thing, but you're going to turn around and you're going to go, you know what? I still think what I think. But we can still be friends and we can still talk and we can still have fun together. That's what makes us unique. And the Jacinda video, maybe it's just because of what I'm going through and it was just the right time and it was really great. So if you haven't watched it, I recommend it. So, if I start thinking about optimism, and I started this video by telling you what my ridiculous blood pressure was yesterday, it was pretty high and there's lots of reasons for that. Today, it's down low, but you know what has changed? Rather than sitting around and stressing out about it and worrying about it, I made sure that I had a nice warm shower. I went to bed. I had a decent sleep, which the last 3 months I haven't slept very well at all, but I had a pretty decent sleep for me these days. And I got up in the morning and I grabbed my dog Griffin and I said, let's go, my little friend. And we went for a really good walk. And in fact, I ran. I don't know what made me do it. I felt a little like Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest, run. That I just started to run. And we went for a run and I felt so. It wasn't a grand gesture. I didn't do anything that was earth-shattering that anybody else isn't doing. What I have learned, though, is that it's little things, little decisions, little choices throughout the day. You don't have to think about tomorrow. You just have to get through thinking about the little choices that you're doing now. I think your body keeps score. We know that. You feel better when you move, even if you're a little sore. Your mind does too. And it was something that I hadn't really thought about. So even when you're a little grumpy or you're a little crabby or you're just feeling under the weather, you can find something to feel a little better about. Whether that is the sweater choice that you made for the day, or that you said hello to someone, or you held the door open. Where I live now in Newfoundland is amazing. Everybody says hello. They call you my love. They hold doors. It's just, is everybody here perfect? Probably not. But I'm choosing to see the good. And so I think because I'm choosing to see the good, I'm behaving in a way, does that make me more receptive to getting that goodness? I think maybe. What do you think? It's almost like what you project, you get back. And watching the Jacinda video, which I wasn't going to do because I like I said, I had a bit of mixed feelings. I had some personal experience that wasn't great. I have friends who were in Auckland, and Auckland bore the brunt of it for the country. If there were any cases to be had, they were coming from outside and they were in Auckland. And so that city was locked down more than the rest of the country. But what it kind of reminded me was, you just got to let go of stuff. You just got to let it go. Some things you can't, and some things, even if you let it go, doesn't mean that you roll over or that you're accepting badness. It just means that you're letting it go. You're not going to let it inside of you to, what is it? I think it's former President Obama and his wife Michelle say, I'm not going to let that space take up, I'm not going to let them take up space in my head. I'm not going to let them live there rent free. So letting those bad thoughts or that horribleness live in your head rent free isn't doing you any favor. I believe that optimism is more than just a feeling. It's a choice. You're making a choice to get up. You're making a choice to say hello to your neighbor. You're making a choice to hold the door open for someone. You're making a choice to make some decisions for yourself that are good for you. And it's like a habit. I was reading something the other day that said, if you wait for motivation, you'll never get anything done. Motivation isn't something that you're going to wake up and go, oh, I'm super motivated. It's about making the decision to get up and go for a walk, to lift some weights, to clean the house, to do something for someone who maybe is a little worse off than you. So, why am I sharing this? Because it's some pretty personal stuff. And again, I'm rebuilding over 60. I'm looking to spend, to coin that phrase, the go-go years. I'm going to make them good. I want to contribute. I want to make a difference in someone's life. I don't have to change the world. I'm not looking to go to Mars or anything crazy. I'm just looking maybe to make someone else's day and to feel good about myself. I have a thing about the toothbrush thing. I used to tell all my teams, because I've been in a leadership position, that when you brush your teeth in the morning and you look at the person in the mirror, is the face staring back at you someone that you're comfortable with? Have you made good decisions? And even if you haven't, have you owned them? Have you taken accountability? So if you're okay with that face staring you back, I think you've done. And starting over when you're over 60, I'm lonely. Of course it is, but that's a choice. I can get out and I can connect with someone. I don't have to connect with the whole world. I just have to connect with someone. I just have to add some brightness to someone else, which in turn will add some brightness to me. And I believe optimism isn't about having it all together and making all the right choices and doing all the right things. It's just making one small choice, one small change, and they lead to the next one. And then maybe you do get up in the morning and you think, oh, I feel great today. I felt so good after I did that yesterday. I'm going to go for a run today, or I'm going to go help someone. And so that's where I'm coming from this week. And, last week was about regret. This week's around optimism. You got to look forward. And this week, what I'd like you to leave you with is, what's the one small thing you did this week? What's the one small thing that made you better? And like I said, I started off with really high, and I still, sometimes my blood pressure is really, really high. And that's when I'm feeling the stress and the grief and the whole situation and having to start over. And I had this great plan in life and it was going according to plan. And then, like most great plans, everything goes kaplooey. And I think it's how you behave from those. So please share with me, what was the one thing that you did this week that worked really well for you? I am hopeful that this is a two-way street and that I can get some ideas from you, because some days you just feel down in the dumps. But otherwise, I feel pretty good. I will leave you with that. Have a great week, and I hope to see you next week. Please like and subscribe.